Go. Good morning. Want to welcome you to Bluebird Quilt Studio live this week. We're going to talk about quilting possibilities here. And I don't know about you, but I like lots of possibilities when I'm trying to tackle a project. I don't always like to do things exactly the same way. And what's great about learning how to quilt your own quilts is you have lots of options available. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about some options, and different personalities and different skill sets are drawn to different types of techniques. And if you talk to the people in the shop or people that are quilters, everybody has their special go-to technique, but it's nice to know that there's lots of options available to you. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about quilting possibilities and about some projects that allow for different types of quilts that might be fun for you to tackle. So hope that sounds like an exciting adventure for you this morning. So as a new quilter, probably the first thing that you'll see or read about is something called free motion quilting. Well, free motion quilting is so free, sometimes it's frightening because suddenly, the world is your oyster as long as you're comfortable sketching, drawing, and then taking that drawing skill to a quilt. But sometimes that can be extra challenging for people. So what are some ways that you could maybe tiptoe into the free motion world and make your life a little bit easier as you're trying to gain some skill as a free motion quilter? So one thing that you can always do is, look for the quilting style that you're drawn to and try to figure out how you could make that easier. So we're going to look at some basic types of shapes and think through how we might deal with those with a free motion skill, and then talk about some other types of tools that you might use for quilting these designs. So let's say, for example, you wanted to do something like pebbles, okay? So if we were gonna free motion pebbles, by the way, this beautiful quilt has some free motion pebbles and they're beautifully done. So getting those circles perfectly round could be challenging, okay? So here's a set of free motion pebbles that aren't quite so perfectly round. So one thing you can do is you can open up your window of possibilities saying, do they have to be perfectly round, or am I okay if they're just a little bit off while I'm gaining my skill as a quilter? So when approaching some free motion, you can take these and frankly commit to saying, all right, I'm going to vary the size a little bit. That will make things a little easier. Or I am not going to be too concerned if some of these get a little bit out of round. I'm going to be okay with that. And I'm going to learn as I go so that at some point your skill level begins to improve. Now, if that's still too big of a leap, one thing that you can do is you can use something like, for example, quilting paper, and you could draw your free motion design, whether it's pebbles or whether it is, flowers or leaves or swirls. You could draw your design out on this paper, and it's designed to tear away extra easily. So you could put your design on this and place it on top of your quilt, the area that you're going to put that special design in, and literally stitch right through the paper and peel it off. So that would be a great option. Now, something like a pebble, if you are going for that perfect round pebble, think of things that are round shapes in your house. So, coins or, dishes, or little round dots like office dots that you might have, little price dots. You could stick those on your quilt and then stitch around the outside, and that would be another tool to help get you going as you're beginning to gain skill. Free motion quilting, but with a little added boost. So that is one option available to you as a quilter, free motion quilting. Another option that's available to you as a quilter is something like a ruler. So in the case of these pebbles, quilting rulers are thicker than your standard cutting ruler, and they're designed to be used with a foot that has an extra high foot shape here, so that you can butt the ruler up against this foot, and with the aid of a ruler base on a long arm, or frankly just a table on your domestic machine, you can place the foot inside this shape and go around. And obviously, if you've got a guide like this that you're placing pressure on top of your quilt, that shape is going to be much easier to get perfectly round. And in the case of something like this, if we were going to stitch these shapes right here, we'd put our ruler in here, and then we'd shift our ruler over and we'd do another circle, and we'd shift our ruler over and do another circle. So rulers are another great option for assisting you with getting some quilting skill. So that's another possibility. Yet another possibility is using essentially a traceable pattern. Okay, so this particular pattern is called a pantograph, and they are placed on the back of a long arm machine. There's a little table back there, and a laser light follows the pattern as you are moving the head of the machine around the pattern. So you have a pattern to trace, and the machine is stitching it out on your quilt, stretched across the frame, and you can achieve something like this. So this design has some nice little carefree flowers in it, and then some leaves and some swirls. So this design is something you could achieve essentially by tracing your pattern with a laser light and a long arm machine. Again, because we like possibilities, you can also do that similar type of shape free motion. So this same shape right here is free motion. So while we've got this in the frame here, this arc right here, this really regular shape, that could be achieved with your ruler work here. And using the straight edge of a ruler, you could have these piano keys out here. So we are building up some possibilities here. You can go free motion, you can go panto, you can go ruler. So there's even one more layer of awesomeness that you can use with long arm machines as far as design possibilities. And this really opens up the scope of what's possible. So this is a digital quilting system. Okay, it is a computer that guides a set of motors that are attached, well, that are acting on the carriage that moves the long arm back and forth, and it's going to stitch out designs. So if I was to choose a design here, we'd open up a file, and our Pro Stitcher program comes with oodles and caboodles. That is a technical term of designs. There's about 850 designs on here. So when we have a design, if we were to select, well, let's choose something down here. How about this beautiful wreath? Now, many people would consider this a more advanced design if you were trying to free motion stitch that, which is totally and completely possible free motion. Okay, you probably would want to mark a circle, and then you could free motion those feathers. But again, that is one way of approaching that shape. But in the case of this, I can totally customize the size of this design so that it could fit in any shape. I could even skew it so that it's more oval or oblong. I could do all kinds of things and have the computer guide the machine and stitch that out on whatever quilt I wanted. And there's so many options here. You can get some very complex designs. So let's look at this quilt and see how all of these kind of come together here in some quilting possibilities. So this quilt was quilted using lots of the techniques that we've been talking about. Free motion and pro stitcher were used in this quilt, but they could have, the quilting could have been achieved also with rulers. The more refined, precise quilting could have been achieved with rulers. So here, these designs right here were stitched by pulling up a design in the Pro Stitcher and nesting this little shape in this space with the Pro Stitcher program, aligning it. But all of these were done free motion. This was done free motion. This was Pro Stitcher. So we asked Pro Stitcher to actually stitch these little clamshells, upside down clamshells, and we blocked it off so that we could have it precisely placed within that space. All of the stitch in the ditch here was done actually with Pro Stitcher. That could have been done with a ruler, but it was done with Pro Stitcher. Again, we have some Pro Stitcher right here, and then some free motion leaves. So what's awesome about quilting is you get to play with all kinds of wonderful things. So it's so fun to have so many possibilities at your fingertips. If you'd like to learn more about how to incorporate all of these skills, free motion, ruler work, and Pro Stitcher, we have a fantastic opportunity coming our way just in a week and a half. So Barb Tatera, National Handi Quilter Educator, is going to be joining us at the Holiday Inn here in Nampa. She's going to be teaching two-day hands-on workshops on an Amara with a Pro Stitcher. So a machine that looks just like this, on a smaller frame, but machine that looks just like this. You'll get a chance to learn the very, very basics of how do you put on a quilt, how do you thread the machine, how do you run the buttons on the machine, and then we'll dive into some free motion possibilities, stitch a little bit with our Pro Stitcher, and stitch with some rulers. So it is the perfect time to embrace all of the quilting possibilities and such a nice opportunity to play a little bit. We also have a very exciting opportunity for a game night, Tuesday, May 30th. In the evening at the Holiday Inn, we are going to have a special meet and greet with Barb, and she will be answering some questions, giving some fun quilting tips, and it will be in a game show format. The audience will get to participate in games, and of course we'll have prizes, and we'll also enjoy some wonderful food. So food and friendship and a fun game night. I think you'll really enjoy it. Have a great time. If you would like to sign up or need more information, you can contact us here at Bluebird Quilt Studio and we'll give you more information. We really look forward to seeing you at that event and hope that you have lots of quilting possibilities in your life. If you'd like to add to your skill set, come join us at our game night or our Handi Quilter education coming here in just a few short days. That again, those dates are the education event is May 31st and June 1st, or June 2nd and June 3rd. So those are the education days, and our game night is Tuesday, May 30th at 7 o'clock in the evening at the Holiday Inn here in Nampa. Thanks so much for joining us today, and really look forward to seeing you soon and quilting with you. Have a great week.